the night. Hi,
Yeah.
everyone. Welcome to our March meeting. Thanks so much for coming. And yeah, we're going to have a really fun night again, I think. So tonight, our speaker is going to be Vanessa. She's the founder and creative director of Block Design. Yeah, so the stage is all yours, Vanessa. I don't know if you have a PowerPoint, a planned talk, but we're excited to hear from you.
I do. So first of all, welcome and thank you so much for inviting me. I'm going to share a little bit of the work. You know, now with internet, you guys see a lot of the work. I mean, if you've seen the work we do. But what you don't get to see is the way we see the world and the way we think about the world and the way, most importantly, we feel about the world. And we're a small studio. I'm going to present in 2 seconds everything, but it's important, you know, we're a small studio by choice. I've had the studio for over 25 years. I started pretty young and still not that young now, but it's been an incredible place of joy for me. So this is Block Design. I'll share my screen. And tell me if you see everything well, okay? And if things are working the way it should. So, okay. Yeah, everybody sees.
Yep, I can see your presentation.
Okay, perfect. So let me just find the right play. Okay, perfect. Yeah, we're good. Okay. So as we were saying, Block Design, I started the studio in Toronto many years, like 25 years ago, and then moved it to Mexico City for 9 years and moved it back to Toronto 10 years ago. We've always been a small studio by choice. And this, I had given a talk on the wild edge, working from the imaginary line. And I actually wanted to keep this line for you guys, because I think that when you have a studio that is always in a state of becoming, I mean, we think that studios, design studios, are places where we're like it's work, you know, this is what we do, this is what we love. I actually don't agree. I think we do who we are. And it's taken me a very long time to understand it's not just what I love, it's actually what I'm made of. Creativity is the core of my being. Like, this creative space is the most beautiful gift I have ever received. And know that this is a wild edge, and we should always be working from that edge, because that is the most creative space. When you're, you know, standing from the edge of everything, when you don't know, you know, you should jump. And if you jump, you're going to fly, or you're going to fall flat down into like the huge, whatever you call it, like, you know, fall. And you don't actually know, but you have to take the risk. You have to believe in yourself, and you have to believe in the possibilities that come. This is, for me, the wild edge, and this is what it is, working from that space, always with the possibilities to fly. I'm originally from Argentina. This is a work of art from a Uruguayan artist, and it's called My North is My South. And the reason I like starting with this image is because we do not know what we see, but we see what we know. This is a line by Piaget. And it doesn't matter where we come from and who we are. If you turn the world around, it's a completely different perspective. And that is what is required in creativity. If we understood the world to be upside down versus us being, what would have happened, you know, with colonization? What would have happened with the way we understand the world today? Oliver Eliasson, an incredible artist, contemporary artist, actually picked up on the same idea, because this is his work, and it's a couple of years ago. What is the world? What is our perception of the world if we shift the way we see it? And you think this is about the studio, but this is exactly about our studio. This is a work by Antonio Montana. Arte es vida. Life is art, and art is life. Everything we do at the studio has a connotation within the arts. We work at the intersection of humanity, and we work at the intersection of art, always. And it's not just linearly. It's not just, oh, we work for MoCA, which, by the way, we do. It's that we have artfulness in everything we do. And everything is surrounded by poetry, by philosophy, by art, by sculpture, by architecture, by music. It is always a merge of all of these things, and we're inspired by that. So it's not just about graphic design. Graphic design is the language we use. Be it anything today, it could be motion graphics, it could be digital, it doesn't really matter. That is our language. That's what AI doesn't quite get, that what we do is our language. Who we are is what we bring to the table. This is work by Cristo. I'm showing and sharing some of the most incredible artists of my life and who inspire me beyond anything. Jean-Claude and Cristo, because it's not just Cristo, it's Jean-Claude, his wife. Actually, we're missing Jean-Claude in this little comment. Is one of the works of art, and most of their conceptual art, is to take on huge buildings or different spaces and to cover them. And I'm talking buildings in a city. And the beauty of that is to understand what happens when you stop seeing something that you're familiar with and how extraordinary it becomes when you see anew. So this idea that I'm starting this talk about, just everything in it is about how you shift the perspective of that feels familiar, how you start changing. It's not about, oh, where does creativity come? It's actually there. It's next to you. You just need to change the perspective in order to see it, in order to understand its extraordinary elements, even in the ordinary. This is an incredible piece. It's another artist. But what I love about this work is the way, I actually think this is my brain. My brain has nothing linear in it, nothing. And I think that as creatives, this is how we work. It's an intersection and connectivity, but all the things we acquire in life. We are empty vessels. That's what I always tell my kids. We're empty vessels. What are you putting in it? Because what you're putting in it is what you're going to get out of it. When people ask me what inspires you, actually, it's not specifically what inspired me for the project, is that I'm a constant accumulation of creativity. Like and even if it's words, you're constantly accumulating, and then you start making interconnections. And then there's a project, and it's incredible and it's magical. But there's a project that comes out and you're like, oh my God, I just read about it, or I saw something, and it all comes to mind. What I didn't do is I didn't put my timer on this. Can somebody put the time and let me know if I should do it, actually. I am so sorry. I'm going to look at the clock just in case I go too far. And this is just a mixture of ideas, of phrases from our studio. I'm going to play it again. If it's equality, if it's utopia, if it's void, this is the way we like our world to be, how we interact with the work. So these are the beliefs of the studio. Idealism is a precondition. If you don't want to change the world, I'm not sure why you're in this project. I think we should always try to do something, even if it's small, even if it's tiny, that creates resonance. Resonance is important. It's not just about, oh, everybody wants to change the world, and it's like such a cliche. But why don't you try with something actually that has resonance? Why don't you try with something that actually is going to create something? Sometimes it's just about giving somebody joy. Somebody's just about changing the way somebody, thinks about an element, or changing behavior, or changing preconceptions. We are the example that we want to do in the world. We can't just talk about it. We actually have to take action and do it. Uncertainty is intrinsic to process. Please, COVID has brought us this concept of uncertainty, and we've literally had our first experience with it. But uncertainty is something you can actually embrace. Everything changes consistently. So know it and understand it and embrace that change, because that change is actually what makes us great creatives or great artists or great people. So it's not just about our creativity, it's about our humanity, our growth, our being always in constant process. That is actually embracing uncertainty. You do not know where you're going to go in life. That is actually brilliant. I do not know where I'm going to go in life. That's actually brilliant. So understand that what comes your way is an opportunity, an open door to something. And that is an incredible invitation. Slant to shift your perspective. Well, I showed you Cristo and Jean-Claude. What else can you see? Like you see a building you've seen every day, and the moment they cover it, you're aware, you're conscious of the beauty. Sometimes we need to be taken things away from us to understand the power it have in our lives. I come from a military dictatorship growing up, so I understand very, very importantly and very well what it is not to vote. I will never miss going to vote, because I was taken out that privilege when I was younger. So sometimes what we don't have isn't just a complaint. It's an opportunity to act against and to be part of that awareness and that consciousness. And easy is soulless. I don't understand why in this world right now, we think that hard work is something we don't want in our lives. Hard work is actually incredible, because you know what? it is never about where we arrive, and you know it, it's about the journey. But actually, it's not just about, oh, it's like a phrase we use. What shapes you is not the arrival. There is no arrival. What shapes you is that constant experiencing life, being good, being bad, being challenging. That is what shapes us. And chaos is a way of thinking. So in a world that wants to oversimplify and give us, you know, full of white noise and delivers us like ideas and beliefs, but nobody actually goes very deep on it, use that chaos not as a way of getting more confusion, but actually understand its complexity, embrace its complexity in order to find clarity. Chaos is an incredible space to be creative, incredible space to play. So a couple of before COVID, before, you know, now that this seems like very obvious, but before this was obvious, I had thought about what it would be to work in different countries and different places in the world. So now it feels like, we just did it. But this was a big challenge for us. So I decided to take the studio to Berlin for a summer. Paid for everybody's tickets. We rented 2 apartments. We paid for, it was an insane idea at the time because nobody was moving. And for us, a small studio was a lot of money. But we thought that by changing the space we were in, it would change our creativity. Because 90% of what you experience is familiar to you, and 10% is unfamiliar. I wanted to change that to be 90% unfamiliar and 10 familiar. The only thing familiar was us. Nothing in it was, and I had no idea. We didn't obviously speak German. We didn't need much in Berlin. We didn't know if the place we were going had printers. It was this incredible adventure to just go, all of us, in this experience. So we flew to Berlin, and funny enough, all the projects, and these are the things that you cannot plan. We are a studio that works project per project, and serendipity happened that every single project we had during that time was out of Canada. Like, we do a lot of international work, but there was no Canadian project. Like, it was like bizarre. We had a project in Singapore, so time-wise it actually worked. We had projects in Mexico, projects in Spain. It was just almost ridiculous, as if somebody said, you know what, whatever you're doing, you're in the right path. So first, one of the first, this is us in the space we shared. And again, you know, everybody looks very young. It was like 5 or 6 years ago. And this is how we think about projects. So this was a book that we did for Mexico. It's called Origen Mexico. I lived there for many years, and my kids were born there. So it's close to my heart for many reasons. This was a celebration of everything that is important in Mexican culture, all the things that came from Mexico to the world, all the thinkers, all the inventions, all the artistic interpretations or experiments that were created in Mexico, but we actually don't know about it. So it's almost dictionary of everything that happened that is actually incredibly powerful and had resonance in the world. Now, the beauty of this is that it also was raising money for education. So it wasn't just like, we're doing this beautiful project, which we do many times, for the sake of art. We had to think about it in a way where this book had to be reprinted in sections to give to underprivileged kids in little towns in Mexico, and to educate very early on. Be proud, because we've done great things here in this country. So what we did, we got, we always get, people think, I'm not sure you guys coming from school, but sometimes even professionals, that we're given the project. Trust me, we don't even get given any project ever. We shape the project always, but we shape it collaboratively. We always shape it. I mean, we do not believe, and maybe I should a little step back. We're a studio that chooses our clients as much as the clients choose us. We're small in order to have freedom to do what we love, to do it with value, and to do it with a lot of awareness and consciousness. We've been in the subjects of, justice, equality, feminism, you name it, since the beginning of Block. That is the core of us. We've designed for the Center for the study of political posters, for Pro Mujer, for, menstruation in Rwanda. We've done all these projects, and this is not a flag we raise, and that's important. We do not raise this flag. These are the things that we should be fighting for, because it makes sense, because this is humanity, because this is important, because this is for all of us. This is the legacy that we leave our kids, and this is the value legacy that I plan to teach my kids, and I've taught all their lives. If there's something in the world you do not like, you do something about it. That is my value legacy. That's the only inheritance I can leave them. What do you do about it? So when we see projects like these that have an artistic side, but they also have a social side, our responsibility is not just to take the project, but actually work with somebody in the project. And we have a great relationship with these clients. So you see all of this to tell you that when we put all of these words on the wall, and this was the wall of our studio, we start finding, okay, who are we missing? What are the artists? What are the social aspects? Like, who are we missing to shape this project to become what it should become? Again, serendipity, I'm going to have to speed it because I'm not going to have enough time. Serendipity played its part. We found a typography the first day I went to Berlin. I called the designer. It wasn't launched. And we used a typography that had not been launched on this book. And we were lucky to be able to work. This is us, you know, we do small dummies and we just threw them there to see how it flew. But this is the book itself. You've seen maybe some of this in the website. And this is Origen Mexico. That cover was yellow. By the way, that orange that you see was yellow. And yes, on press, I couldn't make that yellow work. I did everything. So on press, I decided it was neon orange. And by the way, that orange is not even a color Pantone. You can mix and you can create. I always say I should call Pantone. I have many colors that Pantone does not know exist in the world. I should call them, but this is a mix of a neon and a pink. So it would have that, it's not just neon, it's a mixture of colors. And then here we did the index on the cover. So the cover itself is the index because it's all about the people. So why are we going to hide it? We're going to show the world from the beginning that this is the invention of these people or the art or the creative space. This also had a beautiful part, which is we also used in this part a second layer of carbon print. So although we work with beautiful materiality, we sometimes go really, really low. So the high and the low is the dialogue between materiality, and you can see the transparency between it. So this again is about exploring materiality, exploring things you haven't done. It's always an opportunity. This beautiful phrase was given by my father when I was very young, and I keep on sharing it because I love it so much. We shall not cease from exploration, and at the end of our exploring will be to arrive where we started and know the place for the first time. You never cease, nor do I cease, because we see things anew every single time. Us exploring, us experimenting, we do many, many things at Block. You'll see in a little bit. I think it's our own little like need to never get bored. So it's not just projects that come to us, but a lot initiated as well. This is an exploration, a typographic exploration, which we did, but just to see the many layers of just seeing how far an identity can go. It is not what you can do with identity, but how far you can take it. That's always a possibility for us. How far can we take an opportunity? And when it gets approved, that's just the beginning. Then you start taking it further. And I always tell the clients, when you get this approved, don't expect this is going to be the only thing you get presented, because now we're let free. We know where we're going. Now we can run. And many times we use that opportunity to design different pieces. It's part of what we have as a studio to be able to keep on exploring and experimenting on an identity. We do a lot of identity. For me, I don't believe I do branding. I do identity because I believe it is like people. You're finding the soul of a company as much as you find the soul of a person. This is exploration for many different identities. This was for Ryoko, a Japanese restaurant in Winnipeg. So I'm just like talking in between, showing you things because I figured a lot of things you could see online, but not the stories behind them. And this is an exploration of a typography we did for Mexico, Ciudad Futura. where we saw some sculptures. I mean, this was an environmental project that was incredible to work on. But we saw some maquettes, architectural maquettes, when we were working on it, and inspired to create the typography. We needed a very thin typography for the cover. So we built it ourselves. We built it by hand, and we just had fun exploring what we can. I'm looking at my time. Brampton Arts Organization. So when we work on an identity, if it's motion graphics, every single iteration has an opportunity to grow. So when you think about identity, it's not just what is your logo and how do we show it, but think about it as music. It's how does it move through the presentation of it, or through its own existence? How does it express itself? When does it have a high tone? When does it have a low tone? Books are the same. Books are like music. It's about the rhythm that you infuse. What are the opportunities you have to show photography inside, and why are you doing it? It is not graphism. Please understand, everybody can do graphism today. It has to be thoughtful. It has to have an intention. It has to have a reason. This bow was celebrating artists. We needed to create space for them, and we needed to do something that they would feel connected to and expressive and proud of being part of this organization coming from Brampton, because nobody considers Brampton to have the heart of art, and it actually does. And we're really, I hope somebody from here is from Brampton, because we've been working with Brampton and we're so excited to be part of this, and more actually coming soon. But again, when you think about design, think about it from the possibilities. When we did this project for Coco, the same people we did it for the Japanese restaurants, they had this market, this space within the farmers market, or within one of the markets, like enclosed markets. And again, Japanese. So what we wanted to do is they wanted the same, they wanted a similar cohesiveness to the dragon that you saw. They wanted like an extension of brand. And we said, well, if you're doing something that has a different feeling and in a very completely different space, why it doesn't actually align that we just do an underlying logo or sub-brand of what we're doing. There's a reason why. It would be having a very easy job, but it didn't make sense to us. Instead, we wanted an experience that felt like a convenience store, like that sort of like fun convenience store that you go to. So this was Coco. And that's the language that we picked up in order to create this sort of very whimsical identity. Something that you would be happy to pick up if you had to take your food home. My daughter was thrilled. I think she never loved a project more than this one, and everything that it entailed. And again, and how do we portray it in a way that is a completely different type of language than what we normally do? We work on books. I'll do these fast on architecture. We do a lot of editorial. Books are back, and it's a beautiful expression, again, of rhythm. Books are about pacing. Books are about understanding when you go high, when you go lower, when you hold space. And it's about finding the cohesiveness. So it's always a treat. We launched this not long ago. This is a project very dear to me, El Sanjón. And again, this entire project is based on a module of a piece of metal that came out of one of the buildings themselves. This is a building that took 28 years to restore in Buenos Aires and is a historical monument. So how do we tell this story? How do we tell this history? And through its many, many iterations. And this is, you know, again, just a little hole and many images, and you already start connecting the identity to the many layers. It's like a peephole into the history of the country and the history of the building. You know, we do believe in empowering women. This is Girl Meets Money. It's educating women on money and the power it has to actually achieve your dreams, not as money, but as energy. So the logo is not about pushing money, but understanding the energy that money means. It's just about moving things in your life and not having a preconception of, you know, this is something I'm not connected to because I'm not in finance. This was a beautiful project. And it was all about light and color and moving this energy forward. So as you see, a lot of the projects that we do being political, this was part of a book that we did, but I actually had to bring it in because I loved it so much. An Argentinian artist. Again, politics is very close to my heart, as much as is political art and art that actually stands up for the right causes. And we've, again, been working with artists all around the world on issues that mean a lot to us. This was a project that also we did for Wayward Arts. We're going to go a little bit faster because we don't have much more time. But again, it's not just about the cause. It's about bringing the juxtaposition of, like, you know, you have Mandela there and you have like a happening. What does this mean? What is the difference in that dialogue when you overlap two completely different images? This one in Ferguson and in the Olympics standing for freedom and for equality, and Tiananmen Square. So we asked, all of these images we contacted the journalist, we asked for permission, we cut their photos and overlapped their own imagery. And again, we had incredible support to do it and to bring stories that meant and were important to us. We did this like 10 years ago, and working for MoCA on books and art. What's important here when we work for art is also the fact that we're celebrating young artists. We're celebrating the people that are literally shaping their craft within our city and being participants of that. So what does it mean to have a studio that is always hungry for work? Is that in order to keep absorbing the world, and I'm going to see if I can play it again, you have to be hungry. No, I lost it. Sorry, guys. You have to be hungry. You have to be curious. You have to be willing to open yourself to the world. But this is not a cliche. This is actually what you need to do. You have to be porous. You need to be uncomfortable. You need to be unfamiliar. This idea that we are living, you know, the other day somebody told me, there's a phrase, and I always forget the phrase, but the syndrome, this syndrome that everybody has a problem with. I can't remember the word, but you know exactly what I mean. There's who do we think we need to be in design or as a professional? You guys and we are all learning. We are all consistently learning. So the only way you learn is by doing. The only way you become something is by doing. And we become just by action and awareness. So this is us exploring more. We decided to, I had designed a line of dishes. It went a little bit fast, but this is the end of it, a while ago, and I wanted to try it again. So we started to bring product into the studio, and we designed a line of tableware because we wanted to celebrate what it meant to be in family, with friends, sharing, having great conversations about politics, about art, about philosophy for long times, the value of connectivity, the value of humanity. It's not just about a teapot, it's about what it means, it's the meaning. And also that we don't have to consume a lot of things. Very much like the Bauhaus said, you know, good design can be accessible, but also we need little things to be happy. So enough is plenty. And that was part of our philosophy. And coming soon, and not yet launched, you'll see this coming soon. I've been teasing it a little bit, but it's now finally launching. We have a project called Rhythm Dialogues. You will look for it soon, and it is working at the intersection of all the arts. And that's it, a little bit about us.